Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello dear friends, welcome back to Spiritism and the Media here on Kardec Radio. Today I'm bringing a text from the book Green Light by André Luiz through the medium Chico Xavier. It is number 3, On Controlling the Voice. And here we can read this text, and the idea is to bring those teachings and for us to see how do we use our voice in our daily lives when we communicate with the ones around us. So let's see what André Luiz has to tell us here. So, on controlling the voice. Observe the sound and tone of your voice, for it is one of the most important instruments of life for each one of us. So you know that the word is very important, and one of the ways for us to use a word is by speaking out loud, so by using our voice. So you may write letters, we may write texts, emails, text messages, but many times we are talking to each other, no matter if it is on the phone, on a video conference, if it is here, on YouTube, Facebook, like recording a text, if it is on TV, on movies. There are so many ways for us to use the voice to reach out to others. So he's saying here to observe the sound and tone of the voice, because connected to the word, that's how we're going to send the message. That's very important for us to have that in our mind. Now, it's not only the word, but how we use those words in our daily lives, and the voice is very important for that. And he says the voice of each person carries an expressions or magnetism of their own feelings. Do not speak so loudly that you frighten people, or so quietly that you create difficulties for those who are listening to you. So the first one is about the feeling. No matter what we say, the way we say it is, that those words goes with the feeling that we have. People many times can feel what we feel, or can see how we are by the way we use our voice. Many times just by saying good morning and replying to someone else, good morning, good afternoon, we're already saying how we feel with that tone of voice. So it's not only important for us to know that, because the way that we talk to others, but also when we are listening to them, by listening, by paying attention of how they're saying, communicating them to us, we can see how they feel, and many times they may be in need, and we can help them as well. We can ask if they need any help, or how are you feeling today, by the way they answer us, by the way they greet us. And when he say do not speak so loudly or so quiet, it's about balance. So it's about having this balance in our daily lives, because we know if one of the best example is if one person starts to say something very loud, and the other goes and say it aloud too, and we have another person in the same room, two other people in the same room having another conversation, they're going to speak louder because they want to listen to each other. And when we have that environment with many people like almost shouting, and speaking very, very loudly, so that's disturbing. So let's pay attention on that as well. And it is also, he says here, it is always advisable to repeat patiently what has been said when it is necessary, without altering the voice. Understand that not everyone has an impeccable hearing. Many times when if people ask us to repeat, we may be upset, we may be like angry, and we say that again, but with a different tone of voice, like complaining already to the person. With our voice we're complaining. But let's understand, each one of us, we hear differently. Each one of us, we are different people. So for one, maybe it's easy to understand. The other one, we'll have problems to understand if we say something just once, and we may need to repeat that, as we may ask someone to repeat what they said. So let's not see that as an offense if someone asks us to repeat something, the same way that we may ask that person to repeat if we do not understand what they say. To those who have a hearing problem, never say phrases such as, "Are you deaf? Do you want me to shout? How many times do I have to repeat it?" Or, "I'm tired of repeating it." So let's be patient. It's what he's saying here. Let's be patient. Let's put ourselves in the other's shoes. That's the best thing always. Let's do unto others what we'd like them to do unto ourselves. If we were the one who had those problems, how would we like to be treated? So that's very important, to put ourselves on other people's shoes and to treat them the same way that we'd like to be treated. And he says here, an uncontrolled tone of voice by anger is, in fact, an aggression, and aggression never persuades anyone. And so again, let's try to control our voice, to use the speech the best way we can, no matter if it is here online, if it is in person, if it is on the phone. So the best way is always to have this balance. And he finishes his saying, talk with serenity and respect by putting yourself in the shoes of the listener, for by doing so, you will speak more constructively. And I think the best example, as we always say here, and the spirits always say, is Jesus. Let's see how Jesus used to talk to the others, to the multitude, to his disciples. We never see, for example, one book that I love is Jesus in the Home. There are 50 stories of Gospels that Jesus used to do, the Gospel at home, at Simon Peter's home. We never see Jesus shouting. We never see Jesus speaking loud. He always have the same tone of voice. He always allows everybody to speak, listen silently and carefully, and then he gives his reply. So let's try to follow Jesus' example as always. And this is a very good book if you want to see how Jesus used to treat and to act with the disciples on a daily basis. There's a very good book that I highly recommend. So by reading that book, we can see that Jesus never shouted to the disciples. He always had the same tone of voice, speaking very calmly, very patiently. And by seeing that, we can really learn a good way that we always should try to use when we are talking about that, about using our voice in our daily lives. And now, as usual, I bring the book Happy Life by Joana de Angelis through the medium Divaldo Pereira Franco. Let's open it randomly here. Lesson 189. Your life does not end at the grave. With that in mind, learn in preparation for eternity, storing up everlasting values. Every lesson that delivers one from evil is incorporated into the soul as an indestructible life force. Were death the end of life, the universe would not make sense. Creation would come to an end and thinking beings would have no purpose. However, everything calls humans to eternal glory, the continuation of life, an unending process. Study and work incessantly with your sights set on your spiritual future, living blissfully today and fulfilled always. Thank you so much for your company. May God bless all of us. See you next week.